To ridicule that of which we know nothing is a proof of our own ignorance and senselessness. The Spiritist philosophy is a body of knowledge, which requires careful and systematic study. It is founded on facts because it is within the laws of nature and will become in the future common knowledge to all, because the realm of spirits will be detected by scientific instruments rather than being revealed by mediums who are, with few exceptions, subject to greed, credulity, and the supernatural. The acknowledgement of Spiritism not only annuls materialism, but its immediate consequences are the disappearance of the fear of death, resilience toward life's challenge, and tolerance towards people's imperfections. It will unite all of us in a common bond, that of love for the supreme intelligence and the practice of goodness toward all. To attempt efficiently in defining what God is, one can first make very clear what God is not. God is not a human being, it's not a he or she. God is not matter, therefore it is not subject to the laws which govern it. God is not a spirit, neither a soul. God is not the combination of all living things. God is not nature itself or infinity. But since reason and logic refute the idea that this very complex universe could not have sprung from nothing, then whatever God is, it is also the supreme intelligence and the first cause of all things. Acknowledging this does not free us from researching to discover the laws of nature. However, the same arrogance which blinds the fundamentalist can hamper the scientist from considering extraordinary natural phenomena as evidence for God's existence. There are three elements in the universe: matter, spirits, and the universal consciousness which created both. Matter can be transformed in an infinite number of combinations, which can produce an infinite number of properties, but its simplest manifestation is in the form of the universal fluid. On the other hand, spirits are the intelligent principle of the universe, which unites with matter to transform it. Consequently, matter will also produce changes in the intelligent principle as well. The universe is infinite, and matter and spirits are everywhere, because complete void does not exist. The creation of planets is the result of condensation of dispersed matter in space. The purpose for the existence of many planets is to serve as schools of different levels for the intelligent principle to evolve. A planet has in its beginning the seeds of the future organic entities that will populate it, which were inserted abroad from other worlds by highly evolved spirits. When these embryonic entities are developed into fully grown species, it would have the characteristics which resulted from the adaptation to different environments and climate. Fundamentalists might argue that this is not in the Bible, but it is a mistake to take the Bible literally instead of decoding its symbols. How could have Moses and the people he addressed understand the process of creation when they ignore the laws of geology, embryology, paleontology, and evolution? Nature is composed of organic and inorganic beings. Organic beings are those that are imbued with vitality and possess specific organs to attend to their physical needs. Inorganic beings are those composed of the same matter, but do not have vitality and needs of self-conservation. Death occurs because of wear and tear of vital organs or insufficient quantity of vital fluid. The vital fluid which sustains life can be increased or even decreased and even passed on to someone else, depending on how it's used. Organic beings in the beginning have only instinct, which is a form of primitive intelligence, but gradually develops its organs and intelligence, which can, from then on, understand and make better use of its instincts. Spirits start its evolutionary journey not as a spirit, but as an individualization of the intelligent principle, similarly to today's complex organisms which originated from simple molecules. Spirits are everywhere. They manifest themselves in the spiritual world through their semi-material body called the perispirit, and in the material world through physical bodies. Spirits, similar to everything in nature, are evolving. And it is for this reason that the spiritual world, which is the world around us, is composed of spirits in different degrees of evolution. Spirits who achieved a high degree of evolution were mistaken to be divine entities in the past, as much as spirits who stubbornly remained stationary were mistaken to be evil entities. To be highly evolved, it means to be morally and intellectually advanced. In other words, to be exceedingly smart and exceptionally good. We are far from both, since our intellectual development just began, and there are virtues to be developed that we are unaware of. We are spirits having a physical experience, and generally, there are 3 reasons we enter the flesh. 1. To develop intelligence and morality, by undergoing the painful or pleasant consequences of the use or misuse of free will. 2. To fulfill an educational mission, by teaching others how to evolve. 3. To do our part in the work of creation. Progress depends on solidarity, whereby all entities of life's collective enterprise, composed of the smallest particle to the highest evolved being, do their part to promote evolution. This is the ultimate entanglement of everything in nature. The spirit or the soul, being one and the same, with time becomes aware of the evolutionary process. Spirits are not composed of matter as we understand. And since scientific instruments are still unable to detect their presence, it is to no surprise that materialists will deny the existence of spirits. Nobody dies in the sense that they cease to exist. However, when the body no longer can function to house the spirit, the fluids which holds the two together will gradually disengage, liberating the spirit to its natural state. The time that it takes for a spirit to disengage from its body depends on how much the spirit attached itself to material pleasures. Once in the spiritual plane, spirits will retain their identity and individuality. However, it can experience a mental state of confusion of short or long duration depending on the knowledge it had about the afterlife. On the other hand, spirit's emotional state is highly influenced by the good or evil they have done toward others. Good actions lead to sensations of peace, while evil ones can produce overwhelming remorse and regret. Spirits have just one spiritual immortal life, but it undergoes through many physical finite existences to purify itself, also known as reincarnation. Each reincarnation is an opportunity for growth, and the justice of reincarnation lies in the fact that each individual's progress is proportional to their own effort or the lack of. A spirit is created lacking complexity and knowledge, and gradually improves itself by migrating into different worlds. Improvement is forged by submitting itself to different trials, including but not limited to being a man or woman, rich or poor, healthy or sick. Also, a spirit's previous development will reflect on his or her next reincarnation in the form of moral and intellectual predispositions. A child is a recently reincarnated spirit in need of guidance. This is why parenthood, it is a mission of the utmost importance. There are different views for the meaning of life. Materialists contend that life is the result of aimless random mutations governed by natural selection. In that regard, geniuses inherited the right genes, while individuals with debilitating illnesses inherited the sick genes. Pure luck or the lack of, nothing else. On the other hand, religious people will say that geniuses were blessed, while unfortunate children are being punished either for inheriting the original sin or due to the faults of their parents, which is highly unjust. Conversely, Spiritism explains that spirits are indeed evolving, not aimlessly, but with a goal, to achieve perfection. In that regard, geniuses develop their intellect in previous existences, while congenital diseases are the consequences of bad choices, as well as a means to purge ourselves from imperfections. Simply put, happiness or unhappiness is created by our own hands. When a spirit is not in the body, it is between physical existences in the spiritual plane, studying the highs and lows of its past existence while waiting for new reincarnation. Its sensory perceptions are carried out through the perispirit, which can produce sensations so vivid that the spirit might harbor the illusion that is still in the physical body. While preparing for its next reincarnation, a spirit will choose trials, which will produce most advancement. Its relationships at work, at home, in society will be chosen in accordance to past failures or success. Failed relationships might cause spirits to reincarnate with the same individuals as a means to make amends, while reincarnations within previous successful relationships is a source of strength, a sort of team effort approach to overcome life's trial. The return to physical life is as inevitable for the spirit as death is for the living. The union of the spirit with the body, it's a gradual process that starts during conception and completes during birth. Forgetfulness of the past is for the spirit a defense mechanism to safeguard it from memories which can cause debilitating guilt or excite pride, conditions which can inhibit the progress of the spirit. A spirit would have a body which is in accordance with its intellectual and moral needs. And during childhood, because its physical organs are not yet fully developed, a spirit is easily influenced by the positive or negative examples it receives. Sympathies and antipathies, or our natural likes and dislikes, are subconscious memories of our past, which attract us or repels us from places, people, and things. Once in the body, people frequently visit the spiritual world. This process occurs when a person is released from the body during sleep. Dreams are vague memories resulting from people meeting with spirits. Many human inventions were inspirations given by spirits to multiple individuals at the same time. Also, during our sleep, we meet spiritually with friends or enemies to maintain friendship or exacerbate animosity. Somnambulism, it is a state of the soul which is more independent than dreams, while ecstasy is a refined type of somnambulism. Both the somnambulist and ecstatic can experience second sight, or perception of the world beyond matter. Like all faculties, second sight ranges from rudimentary to highly sophisticated, and it can be developed with practice. Spirits can penetrate our thoughts, and consequently, they influence our actions more than we think. Positive or negative thoughts are inspirations of good or disturb spirits accordingly. Possession is the complete control of our actions by spirits and only happens with our consent. Guardian angels or spiritual benefactors are not entities who are created perfect, but rather are individuals who have ascended in the ladder of evolution and are now in the condition to guide someone else to evolve. Spirit's influence can be exerted on, but not limited to, nature's phenomena, wars, and all kinds of relationships. The quality and type of our thoughts and activities will determine the kind of spiritual influence we will be engaged in. Thus, we mentally connect with disturbed or elevated spirits by what we choose to think and do. Spirits have missions and occupations varying generality and degree of importance. It is a daunting task to describe their occupations because human language is very limited. Nonetheless, the ones who ascended to the condition of evolved spirits, they comprehend the will of the Supreme Intelligence that permeates the cosmos and work incessantly to do their part in the progress of everything. On the other hand, for the mundane spirits, their mission is to apply their best efforts to furnish their minds with knowledge to become smart, but more important, to furnish their hearts with virtues to become good. In that regard, even parenthood can be seen as a mission, because one must use brain and heart to guide children toward the path of goodness. Everything in nature is linked, and all occupations are interrelated, contributing to the functioning of the cosmos. Evolution occurs in, but it's not limited to, minerals and plants. Animals and human beings. Minerals, or inert matter, possess no more than mechanical energy. Plants, in addition to mechanical energy, possess vitality. Animals, in addition to being composed of inert matter and equipped with vitality, they have instinct, primitive intelligence, and self-awareness. Human beings, in addition to having what inert matter plants and animals are composed of, it has unlimited intelligence that dominate all the other classes. Knowledge of the future, perception of extra material things, and the realization of the existence of the Creator. Evolution's direction is always forward. Consequently, the intelligent principle progressively evolved through immemorial time in animal bodies to become spirits. However, since there is no regression evolution, spirits never reincarnate in animal bodies. The supreme intelligence of the universe created laws that regulate matter and behavior. Science is concerned with studying physical laws, whereas moral laws determine our relationships with the Creator and all the other beings in nature. Suffering results from attempting to break these laws, although moral laws have been taught to us gradually, ranging from teachings of rudimentary justice to more complex concepts of solidarity. Its epitome can be summarized in Christ's precept of loving our neighbor as we love ourselves. In this regard, evil is classified as anything which distances us from loving our neighbor, whereas good is anything that approximates us to love our neighbor. This notion of good and evil is written in our conscience and evolved slowly with the development of our intelligence. Worshipping it is a means by which we, the limited intelligence, become connected with the supreme intelligence to realize our purpose. The best type of worshipping is good deeds, for actions are worth more than words. Worship through prayers should be a self-examination process, resulting in the comprehension that most of our problems we created ourselves. Through prayers, one can gain strength and encouragement to overcome in us the obstacles which impede us to fulfill the love, and unity for all beings. Consequently, we finally understand that God gives to us not what we want, but what we need for our intellectual and spiritual growth. In ancient times, worship was confused with sacrifice of animals, but true sacrifice is to overcome our own selfishness to help someone in need. Labor is defined as any useful occupation. Everything in nature labors, although for different purposes. The purpose of work for animals is to provide for their physical needs, while human beings, although work also serve to preserve the body, it is intended for a higher purpose. Work is a means by which intelligence is developed. And as we progress in knowledge in this world and the next, the type of labor we are employed changes gradually, from physical to more intellectual occupations. Because work causes fatigue, one must rest to restore the necessary strength to continue to work. When one can no longer work due to old age or disability, a just and evolved society, which educates not only the mind but the character as well, will provide for those in need by fulfilling the law of charity. The physical world would cease to exist without reproduction. All beings in nature have an instinct to reproduce to maintain the continuation of their species. To preserve their own bodies, different beings in nature consume other beings, thus avoiding overpopulation by uncontrolled reproduction. We are spirits belonging to the same human family, but the bodies we have used went through many transformations by multiple cross-fertilization that culminated in today's better version. Eventually, our biological vehicles, our bodies, will be replaced by better ones through the process of evolution. Marriage represents progress achieved for humankind. Furthermore, monogamy is a milestone in our evolution, while polygamy will be slowly erased as we progress in the social laws that regulate our relationships. All living creatures have the instinct of self-preservation. In some, it's mechanical, while in others, it requires the use of logic and reason to preserve its own life. The earth provides sufficient nourishment for all. But due to improvidence, abuse, and selfishness, there were periods of scarcity. But on the positive side, these challenges forced the sciences responsible for improving our living standards to evolve. We have a natural need to seek material well-being. But when one makes it the primary purpose of our existence, it leads to excesses, which in turn creates our suffering. Thus, wisdom is required to distinguish necessary from superfluous needs and things. Restraining ourselves from material pleasures for selfish reasons does not make us evolve. But there is progress if we sacrifice our material needs to benefit others. Everything must be destroyed so that it may be renewed. Destruction is transformation of what exists for its improvement. When a creature dies, it only loses its outer shell, which nourishes the body of other creatures, while its intelligent principle continues multiple metamorphoses to evolve by reincarnating into new bodies. At this stage of our evolution, progress is very slow due to our indifference toward the law of love. This is why calamities of all sorts, natural or human-made, like earthquakes, floods, wars, and famine, respectively, serve as instruments to speed up our evolution. In worlds that are more evolved than ours, these kinds of misfortunes are no longer needed, and the cycle of destruction and renewal takes a different form. In these worlds, wars, cruelty, capital punishment, and hunting no longer exist. Humans are born with a gregarious instinct. We have a natural need to interact with one another, because it is through our social ties that we develop our intellectual and moral potential. Reclusion should be sought sporadically to help us better focus in our spiritual goals. However, for those who choose a life of isolation or a vow of silence to speed up their spiritual growth are in reality slowing it down, because virtues cannot be developed without applying it into practice through social interactions. Generally, animal family ties are limited to the point that their offspring can survive on their own. On the other hand, human family ties last a lifetime and even beyond the grave, because it is one of the most efficient means to achieve our ultimate goal, to diminish selfishness and increase altruism. Everything in nature is under the law of progress, including civilizations. Humans, responding to their natural need to improve their living standards, have developed intelligence faster than morality. No one or groups of people can remain stationary forever, and this is the reason that geological or social upheavals come to abolish the status quo and make a person or a country move forward. However, for individuals and cultures to progress from infancy to maturity, it requires time. Furthermore, progress can be slowed down due to pride and selfishness. Technology prowess is not enough to deem us civilized, but rather the implementation of an ideal human legislation and social relationships that guarantee the well-being for all. The knowledge of the spiritual world that Spiritism reveals and its implications for human relations will be a catalyst for progress. The law of equality established by the Supreme Intelligence states that humans have equal rights. In the beginning of the evolutionary process, humans have the same potential and aptitudes. With the passing of time, although the entitlement to natural rights remains the same, humans differentiate themselves by developing intelligence and self-awareness, which in turn changes how they use or misuse free will. Social and wealth inequalities can be either a trial or the results of an individual's wise use or misuse of free will in previous reincarnations. An unfair social system is the result of pride and selfishness. Males and females have equal rights, but different functions. Ultimate equality is evident in the end of life, because all peoples, regardless of wealth, social status, ethnicity, or gender, can escape death. Freedom is a natural right. Consequently, slavery not only is wrong, but also it is a sign of a people's primitive stage. Slavery can manifest in many forms such as of race, ethnicity, gender, and financial. As we progress, slavery will gradually disappear from our society because we'll finally understand that the strong should protect the weak and not oppress them. Complete freedom can only be exercised in our thoughts because as long as there are two individuals together, there are limits and rights to be respected. Free will increases with intelligence, but it also augments the accountability for our actions. Our future's fate is invariably shaped by the use or misuse of our free will. However, there is a fate which we can't escape from it, which is to be born, to die, to reborn, and to constantly progress. That is the law. Justice consists in respecting the rights of others. Human rights are both of divine and human origin, with the latter being an imperfect version of the former and subject to change. Furthermore, justice can be interpreted as an application of Christ's golden rule. Do unto others as you wish others would do unto you. Love can be understood as both a feeling and an action. It is a feeling when it's natural without requiring any effort to express it. But love as an action is expressed when good deeds require an effort and is carried out due to a spiritual awareness of the importance of helping others. Furthermore, love can be manifest in the form of charity, which is not limited to almsgiving, but as it was lived by Christ. Benevolence for everyone, mercy for the faults of others, and forgiveness of offenses. All moral imperfections have its root in selfishness, whereas all virtues have its root in altruism. Passions are not imperfections, but rather instinctual drive forces of human behavior that, if wisely used, can be a great source of energy for moral and intellectual advancement. To sublimate our passions and diminish our selfishness, we should know who we are. In other words, we should systematically study the intentions behind our actions, to be conscious of our motives and gain awareness if we are either fortifying virtues or strengthening imperfections. The truly virtuous man or woman is someone who embodies in all of his or her actions, regardless of social status, ethnicity, and creed, the divine law, which is the practice of the law of justice, love, and charity in its highest sublimity toward all people. Complete happiness is still not possible in our level of evolution because life is given to us either as a trial or an expiation. Trials and expiations can come in many forms but not limited to deaths of loved ones, poverty, wealth, difficult relationships, diseases, and ingratitude. These conditions should be regarded as opportunities to amend for past mistakes, as well as a means to develop virtues. And if they become very hard to bear, one should never see suicide as a solution, but rather an intensifier of pain, because a moral debt which is postponed becomes harder to be paid. Although complete happiness, it is still not yet possible. A relative state of happiness can be achieved by having self-control, maintaining balance in our finances, faith in the future, a guilty-free conscience, and most importantly, by bringing joy to others. When facing death, skeptic people will feel doubt, guilty ones will feel fear, and good people will feel hope. The intensity of our future happiness or unhappiness is directly proportional to the happiness or unhappiness we have caused in other people's lives. Hell and heaven do not exist. They are states of the mind, and since there are no ups and downs in the physical universe, there are happy and unhappy spirits everywhere. Suffering in the spiritual world is not punishment, but rather a means by which a spirit, due to its pride and stubbornness, will recognize its mistakes and make plans to repair them in a future reincarnation. Joy in the spiritual world is not made up of endless contemplation and idleness, but a state of awareness and engagement in activities of higher order, destined to better oneself and humankind.